with fierce grace, that we show up in a community of a generation that has changed the world over and over and over again, despite our heroes being assassinated, despite climate deniers crushing the science, despite the kind of violence in the media that only reports what's horrible and never says what's working, in spite the corporate takeover of a democracy that we love and that we want to reclaim, despite the horrendous and overbearing bad news that just pummels us every day. Despite all of that, we know who we are, and we know who people are, and we know that we're in an evolutionary leap in our species. This is not just the next campaign or the next issue or the next moment in time. This is the evolutionary leap that our species must take, is taking, that will redefine what it means to be human. Not only redefine what it means to be an elder, redefine what it means to be human. That's where we're living, I know, in our hearts. And we have the wisdom, the experience, the track record, and the energy, really have the energy, like no generation that came before us at our age. So I say this thing about community, you could call our generation the great community of elders who will lead us into a 21st century that's worthy of the human family. And I just got to put a little plug in for the women here, because I'm also an advocate for this century being what I call the Sophia century. The Sophia century. If you look at the 20th century, it was dominated by war or the fear of war and weaponry. That was really you could say that's one way of talking about the 20th century. This century, although, violence is in our face every day, if you read Better Angels Than Our Nature, if you read any books that are really talking, violence has decreased so dramatically. It is at an all-time low. Now, you wouldn't think that because of the media and because of what we hear about and because of terrorism, but it's at an all-time low in terms of numbers in history. No one's saying that, but we can say that because we know. And I say this is the Sophia century meaning the century when women will take their rightful role in co-equal partnership with men in this 100-year cycle. And it will bring the world into balance. And there's a beautiful native prophecy from the Native American people. I work with indigenous people in the Amazon, many of you know, with the Pachamama Alliance. And that connects us to this deep understanding of the continuum of history and prophecies. There's a Native American prophecy, Northern Native American prophecy, that says the bird of humanity has been flying for 1,000 years with primarily one wing, the male wing. And the female wing has not been fully extended. And you could, rather than men and women, you can translate it into the masculine and the feminine, or the yin and the yang. And the male wing of humanity, in order to keep the bird flying, has had to become violent, has had to be over-muscular and overactive to keep the bird flying while the female wing was not fully extended. So the bird of humanity, therefore, has been flying in circles. And the male wing, or the male energy in all of us, has become overdeveloped. And this is the century when the female wing will fully extend, the feminine wing will fully extend, the yin of our culture will fully extend, not in opposition to the yang, not in opposition to the male wing, but will fully extend so that the male wing can relax a little, and the bird of humanity, I gotta put my both arms out, will soar. Will soar. And I say that's what's happening. And if you think about us now, only the first 16 years of the third millennium, not just a century, the third millennium. We're barely scratching the surface of the third millennium. We can define it. We can shape it. You know how things get shaped at the beginning. We can shape the whole next 1,000 years. We can make the greatest contribution and live the most meaningful lives any generation of humankind has ever lived. So I salute you, and I bow to you, and I am you, and I love you,